Now, in the 14th century, when Chaucer was putting quill to parchment, it was the done thing to take to the highways and byways during Holy Week on a pilgrimage. And in those days, the tomb of Thomas à Becket in Canterbury Cathedral was a destination of choice. But today, pilgrimage has become something different for many people. Emma Bridgewater, doyenne of the polka dot ceramic, has been walking the length of Offa's Dyke. It's a spectacular 177-mile trek on the border of England and Wales. And she sent us this audio postcard.
I'm walking a pilgrimage, by which I mean a long walk with a very focused destination and sort of purpose to it. I started on April the 1st. I'm walking something called Offa's Dyke, southwards. So I started in Prestatyn and I'm in Chirk today. But I'm basically walking the whole thing in one go, and I love that feeling. I think we do so much dashing about, well, I do so much dashing about, that to completely slow down, chuck away the car keys and walk for a whole month is very unaccustomed, but it feels also weirdly just what one is meant to be doing physically.
Emma Bridgewater on Offa's Dyke. Well, a little earlier, I spoke to Guy Hayward from the British Pilgrimage Trust and Dame Fiona Reynolds, who's a former head of the National Trust. And I began by asking Guy whether there always had to be a religious element to the pilgrimage.
There are lots of different types of pilgrimage. There are as many reasons for making pilgrimage as there are pilgrims. It's fundamentally it's a journey on foot with purpose to holy, wholesome or special places. I mean, the word holy just means whole, holistic, healthy, from the Old English halig. We say bring your own beliefs. It's a practice. It's not really about what you believe. It's about just what you do. It's walking between these special places. They can be churches, cathedrals, as you'd expect from religious pilgrimage. But for the non-religious sort of nature-based side is ancient trees, holy wells, the prehistoric stone circles, the caves, islands, hilltops, waterfalls. All these places are potentially pilgrim places. So really, you just set your destination and you just then walk, and that's how you do it.
Right. OK, well, listening to all of this is Dame Fiona Reynolds, an enthusiastic pilgrim, I've learned. I mean, where do you go? What do you do?
Well, I think I've been a pilgrim since I was born, actually, because I grew up walking in the countryside and never just walking without a purpose. I think, as Guy has said, the idea of pilgrimage has lots of different interpretations, but mostly for me, it's about immersing yourself in the landscape. For example, I love walking in and around cathedral cities, and particularly walking in from the outside into a cathedral. And that moment when you're approaching and you see these often spires of medieval origin still there in this modern, busy, frantic world, I think that's my epiphanal moment, that sense of continuity and calm and deep connection with people hundreds of years ago who built extraordinary buildings, knowing that they perhaps wouldn't even see them finished, but actually that would still inspire people today.
I mean, what's really interesting to me is I've never been able to separate the two in my head. I've always thought that you have to have religion if it's a pilgrimage. Otherwise, it's just an interesting walk. But you seem to be saying, no, not at all.
The word pilgrim just comes from the Latin peregrinus, which means stranger, someone who is away from their land. So you can be a pilgrimage in a foreign country. You can be a pilgrim in a foreign county. It's the hero's journey. The idea of the Odyssey, The Hobbit, like all these famous stories, they are basically someone going out and then being changed and then coming back.
What is the mindset? Do you have to sort of change your gear before you go out and say, right, you know what, this is a blank sheet, I don't know what's going to happen? Is that what makes a successful pilgrimage?
I don't think it's about emptying your mind. I think it's about opening your mind. So I go out every day. I walk literally. I get up at 5 a.m, sometimes earlier, sometimes later, and I just walk. And actually, it's the process of walking and thinking and looking at the landscape, you know, as the sun rises or as I come across some new feature that just inspires a sense of spiritual connection. So for many people, it is about religion, but for many, many more, I think being a pilgrim is about real insight into place, experience, listening to yourself. It's almost a sort of mindfulness for me.
If there's just a beautiful route out there, beautiful pilgrimage route, it's going to delight even the most hardened atheist, the one that doesn't believe anything at all, that the lights go out when we die, that sort of thing. It's going to delight with its architectural, natural beauty, connecting with locals, and the fact that walking allows you to make creative breakthroughs and it clears the mind and brings up your feelings throughout your life. And I think anyone can get behind this idea of walking with purpose. It's something that brings everyone together. It's sort of socially levelling. It's not about what you believe.
Right, it's a bank holiday weekend and an even longer break for some people. Guy, where would you particularly recommend people to go?
There are these pilgrimage routes with sanctuaries along them, like the Old Way from Southampton to Canterbury, the Cornish Celtic Way from St Michael's Mount to Germans, the Golden Valley Pilgrim Way in Herefordshire, and the Wexford Pembrokeshire Pilgrim Way. All these places have sanctuaries where you can lie down, sleeping bag and roll mat.
Fiona, have you got a favourite pilgrimage?
I would say be a pilgrim near to your own home. There's always something you haven't seen before or something you haven't discovered. And right at the moment, when the sun is shining, the primroses are coming out, there's that feeling of the hint of warmth in the air. Actually discovering your own place anew and seeing it through pilgrim's eyes would be what I would suggest.
That's Dame Fiona Reynolds, and you also heard from Guy Hayward. There's a series, Pilgrimage, The Road Through Portugal, begins tonight on BBC2.